Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shah. After attending the BIMSTEC summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is in Sri Lanka at the invitation of President Kumara Dissanayake. He has met with the Indian diaspora there. He is, in fact, the first world leader to be hosted by President Dissanayake since he took office. In fact, this will be Prime Minister Modi's fourth visit to Sri Lanka as the Prime Minister. Earlier, President Dissanayake had made India his first foreign visit after taking office. India and Sri Lanka, remember, share deep historical and cultural ties, making Sri Lanka an integral part of India's neighborhood-first policy.
Right behind me is the Prime Minister, who is interacting with leaders of the Indian diaspora. We've been waiting here for a while now to catch a glimpse of their leader. He's coming in from Thailand, where he had a very successful BIMSTEC summit, and now he is here to hold important dialogue and delegation-level discussions, bilateral discussions with Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Right behind me are those visuals of the Prime Minister meeting diaspora leaders. He'll also be meeting important members of the community over the next 2 days and also watch a short skit on Ramayana. Right behind me are those visuals of Prime Minister Modi meeting important leaders of the diaspora right there.
And as Prime Minister Modi arrived in Sri Lanka, the Katchatheevu row, it has erupted, and TVK chief Vijay, he has appealed to the Prime Minister asking to position Katchatheevu as India's rightful island. He has also asked the Prime Minister to take Katchatheevu on a 99-year lease from Sri Lanka as an interim solution. Vijay, he in fact also criticized the DMK's resolution on Katchatheevu, calling it a drama. In fact, this entire development, it comes ahead of as Prime Minister Modi visits Sri Lanka, where it is expected to discuss key issues, including the Katchatheevu dispute. Meanwhile, earlier today, AIMIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi, he spoke to NDTV exclusively, criticizing the passage of the Waqf bill, saying that the NDA government, it has misused its majority to snatch away rights of the Muslims. He also said that the Home Minister misled the country on the provisions of bills. Meanwhile, Rakesh Sinha of the BJP, he has responded to Owaisi, calling his criticism as misplaced, and said that the decision to pass the bill was a decision of the Democratic majority.
See, the Home Minister, unfortunately, being in such an important position, was trying to mislead the Parliament and the nation. If you see the Central Waqf Council, out of the 22 members, 11 can be and will be non-Muslims. 10 have to be Muslims. That is what the law says, in the bill says. You come to the state Waqf board formation, out of 11, compulsory 4 have to be Muslims. The remaining can and will be non-Muslims. So basically, you will be managing the affairs of the Waqf board, which is not possible in the Hindu Endowment Board or in the Jain Endowment Board or in the Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee. That in itself is a grave violation of Article 14, Article 25, freedom of religion, and Article 26, which gives all religious denominations the right to establish and administer and take movable, immovable properties for their religious purposes. So unfortunately, the Home Minister was misleading deliberately. You require Section 40 because if someone creates a Waqf al-Aulad, you have to know what is the Waqf al-Aulad. You can use Section 40. Now, in one case, Supreme Court has accepted that with the usage of Section 40, that property was saved. There are cases, you're right, but you can go to the Waqf tribunal. You can go to the courts. Who's stopping you from doing that? But that does not mean that you remove Section 40. You know, you might be having a genuine grievance, but to remove a particular section, omit it, that is completely wrong. You have created a mechanism. That definition of Waqf by user is completely mera fide. It will not work. You have to see, no one can say, oh, I touched this is Waqf by use. No. Supreme Court has said from time immemorial, there has to be evidence shown that I have been using it for so many years. That becomes Waqf by user. You are denying me. How will the Muslims be able to protect all those properties? You are using your majority in parliament. This is a coalition government, not to reform, but to destroy, but to take away all the rights Muslims have. You are by enacting a law, you are waging a war on Muslims.
In fact, Owaisi is misplaced while he is criticizing, because in democracy the decisions are always taken by the majority, and all majority is not a majoritarianism. It is a democratic majority. It is not a Hindu majority which is taking decision. So he is misinterpreting the constitution. He is misinterpreting the mandate. Most important aspect is that the Waqf itself is a fraud on the part of the constitution. It is not me. In 1954, when first time Muslim Waqf Act was brought in the parliament, it was a private member bill. And for the first time in the history of parliamentary democracy of the world, not only India, in the select committee, the Prime Minister allowed the then law minister to become the chairman. It never happens. Select committee is never headed by the any minister, cabinet minister. Charu Chandra Vishwas was the law minister. So a private member bill was converted into a semi-official bill, and it was passed as a Muslim Waqf Act. Therefore, I consider that Owaisi must read the 1954 debate, in which even the government and the opposition and the ruling party members were in agreement that there should be a common charitable trust act in the country. It was already in Mumbai as a Bombay Public Trust Act. So whatever he is saying, that three changes have been taken place. One change is that transparency and democratization of the board. And the Muslim member in 1991 and 95 demanded, Muslim member who was a CPM member from Murshidabad, he demanded that non-Muslim members should be part of the board, because it is administrative aspect. So transparency and democratic composition was ensured. How does it impact the Muslim community? How does it impact the Muslim identity? Second thing, that in the Muslim work change, that there was Shashwat committee in 2011. It was during the UPA regime that Shashwat committee said that out of the 1.2 lakh crore property, there should be at least 12,000 crore annual income from the work property. But the annual income was just 163 crore. So this gap, where the money was going. Therefore, Owaisi must think in terms of the common Muslim, and it is in the interest of the common people. It is against the elites. That's why Owaisi and his ilk are angry against the government. They are using the same phraseology, same word, and same criticism. They are just repeating. They are going to get nothing out of that.
The Union Home Minister Amit Shah has embarked on a two-day tour of Chhattisgarh, aiming to assess the anti-Naxal operations and reinforce the government's commitment to ending Naxal terrorism by March 31st, 2026. My colleague Anurag Dwari has more details.
Yes, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has arrived in Raipur on his two-day visit to Chhattisgarh. He will also attend the closing ceremony of the Bastar Pandum festival in Dantewada tomorrow. He is also scheduled, as you said, to chair the high-level review meeting in Raipur to assess the status of left-wing extremism in the state. The meeting will focus on discussions with top officials regarding the government's resolve to make Chhattisgarh free from Naxalism. Just few minutes back, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Vishnudev Sai and Deputy Chief Minister Vijay Sharma welcomed Amit Shah at the Raipur airport, and several senior BJP leaders from Chhattisgarh were also present during the welcome. Tomorrow, first, he will visit and offer prayers at the revered Ma Danteshwari temple, and after that, he will attend the closing ceremony of the Bastar Pandum festival, an event which is organized to celebrate and showcase the rich art, culture, and cuisine of the tribal communities in Bastar. And post that festival, Amit Shah will interact with local, public representatives to discuss the regional concerns and development initiatives. And also, he will also meet the commanders and personnel of the security forces involved in anti-Naxal operations to review the ongoing efforts and gather first-hand insights into the ground-level situation in the left-wing extremism-affected areas.
The contentious Waqf Amendment bill passed by the Parliament this week now faces a Supreme Court showdown. Meanwhile, protests erupted nationwide as the debate intensified Will the court uphold or strike down this polarizing law? Here's a report.
Ayes 128. Noes 95. The bill is passed.
A day after the Waqf Amendment Bill was passed in the Rajya Sabha, the BJP has taken on Congress MP Sonia Gandhi for her remarks on the bill. Sonia Gandhi said at a meeting of the Congress Parliamentary Party that the Waqf Bill was a brazen assault on the Constitution and it had been bulldozed through Parliament. The BJP demanded an apology from Sonia Gandhi.
वो देखिए सोनिया गांधी जी बहुत वरिष्ठ नेता है और हम लोग निजी तौर पर मैं कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहता हूँ। मैंने सिर्फ उसको प्रतिक्रिया या क्लैरिफिकेशन दिया, इतना मेहनत करके देर रात तक बैठ करके नियम नीति पालन करके पारित होने के बाद भी अगर कहता है कि नियम पालन नहीं हुआ और बुलडोज किया वो सही नहीं है,
गलत बात है। सुबह के 3 बजे तक हम लोग थे लोकसभा में, 12 बजे शुरू हुआ, सुबह के 4 बजे तक थे राज्यसभा में। इतनी लंबी बहस तो मैंने देखी ही नहीं है। बहुत विनम्रता से मैं ये सोनिया गांधी से एक बात पूछनी है कि आपके पुत्र राहुल गांधी क्यों नहीं बोले और आपकी बेटी आदरणीय प्रियंका जी हाउस में क्यों नहीं आई?
आप संख्या बल के आधार के ऊपर जो राइट टू इक्वेलिटी की बात है, जो सबको बराबरी के अधिकार की बात है, आपने तो बुलडोज कर दिया। तो ये बुलडोज ही तो क्या है? आप अपने से असहमत लोगों को क्या उनके अधिकारों से वंचित कर देंगे? आपका तो 400 पार का सपना पूरा हुआ नहीं, लेकिन कांग्रेस ने तो 400 पार कर लोगों को जो उनके विचारों से असहमत हैं, उनके विचारों को बुलडोज करने का काम करें। आपने तो किया है।
Even as the bill was passed in both houses of the parliament, protests have now erupted in Kolkata and Ahmedabad as well as Chennai against the bill. Thousands gathered on the streets after weekly prayers by the Muslim community to protest the Waqf bill.
The Waqf board so far, which has been controlled by the minority community, now will have a non-Muslim person in that Waqf board. And they're saying that these are religious donations that have been made so far and for the purpose of social service.
Vijay's statement comes amid the Tamil Nadu government and the ruling DMK deciding to take this issue to the Supreme Court, saying that the amendment snatches away the rights of the Muslims besides destroying what they call communal amity in the country.
The Waqf bill needs the President's nod for it to turn into a law. The bill will be sent to President Murmu and her approval will pave the way for amending the 1995 laws governing Waqf properties. However, the Congress has moved the Supreme Court against the bill, calling it discriminatory, while the government has argued that the changes will strengthen the regulation of Waqf properties. The court is now expected to examine whether the amendments pass constitutional muster. An NDTV Bureau report.
Welcome back. A day after the Supreme Court ordered a stop to tree felling in Hyderabad's Katchatheevu, NDTV went to the 400-acre land parcel to find that trees in a huge area have been uprooted and cut. Visual proof of the report given by the Telangana High Court Registrar that over 100 acres have been plundered of rich diversity and denuded.
We are here inside the land parcel at Katchatheevu that has been making news for all the wrong reasons. All that my camera person Nagraju is showing you is these logs, the trees that have been cut and all that vegetation that's been mixed in many senses with the ground. You can see the huge rock formations as well very nearby. The other side in fact is the mushroom rock as well, and JCBs were at work here. About 60 to 70 JCBs that had been brought in over the weekend, and you can even see the tire marks of the vehicles that were carrying away all that log, all that timber that was there in this area that the activists have been calling as forest land. What I must show you is all this area would have had vegetation, and this has been called as a forest-like area for sure. In fact, activists say that this is in fact pristine forest, self-sustaining forest. When the High Court decided to send its registrar on the directions of the Supreme Court, who was alerted by the amicus curiae, Mr. Parmeshwar, that is when the JCBs were moved out of here. The previous day, the High Court had asked for the work to be stopped, but students were reporting to us that the work is not being stopped here. But as you can see, no JCBs here now, none of the lorries here, and the Supreme Court has asked the question about where did you put away all the timber, all the forest vegetation that you have cleared out. Huge mounds of these forest vegetation that you can see here is something that is the work of the JCBs, the earth movers that were at work here. But all of that was in fact moved away in 60 to 70 trucks in the middle of the night, and the court has now asked where exactly have you dumped all that, because that would be proof about the number of trees that have been felled by the government in its attempt to clear this land. What I must point out is that on the 4th of March is when the government of not just Union of India but states were also given the instruction that give us a idea of how many forests or forest-like areas are there, and the state government was clearly told that you must not in the 6 months that the report is to be given, not even an inch of land, none of the percentage of forest land should disappear. But what you can see here is all this area that's cleared. There is rock there, there's a neem tree there, and all that vegetation. If you just do a 360 degree round like this, I will be able to tell you that all this area, which would have been green shrubbery, in which about more than 700 species of trees were there, more than 272 species of birds, all of that lost. What we are being told is that yes, there are monitor lizards, because those kind of rocks is where you find sand boas, and there are reptiles underneath, monitor lizards, star tortoises, all were found in this particular ecosystem, where the government is in fact denied that this is any kind of a forest land. On the Katchatheevu forest land parcel, with camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Political turbulence is brewing within Tamil Nadu's BJP, with K. Annamalai, the state president, reportedly poised to resign following a meeting with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah in Delhi. In fact, BJP sources indicate that Amit Shah communicated this shift during their discussion, reflecting a strategic recalibration as the party navigates alliance prospects ahead of the 2026 Tamil Nadu elections.
புதிய மாநில தலைவருக்கான போட்டியில் நான் இல்லை. நாளைக்கு நீங்க அப்படியே ஒரு நியூஸை போட்டு அண்ணாமலை டெல்லி போறாரு, அண்ணாமலை இவரை கை காட்டினாரு, அண்ணாமலை இவரை கை காட்டல, இந்த எந்த வம்பு சண்டைக்கு நான் வரலீங்கன்னா நான் போட்டியில் இல்லை. அதனால் புதிய தேர்தல், புதிய தலைவருக்கான தேர்தல் விரைவில் நடக்கும். அதை நீங்க பாருங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் பத்திரிகையாளர் சந்திப்பில் நான் விலாவரியா பேசுறேங்க.
And amid the ongoing tariff war, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has plummeted over 1,900 points, marking a significant decline amid escalating trade war concerns. This massive drop is one of the largest in history, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq also experiencing substantial losses of over 5%. Meanwhile, UK's FTSE 100 suffered the biggest daily fall since the start of the pandemic as global markets take a tumble.
That's right. We see panic continuing to grip Wall Street and trade war concerns now mounting. After China has retaliated with new tariffs on US, the Dow has crashed over 1,900 points. S&P 500 and the Nasdaq have fallen over 5% in trade. And tech and retail stocks, remember they have a huge exposure, especially tech stocks, some of the heavyweights to Beijing, and they have tumbled most in this trading session. The Nasdaq is set to close in bear market territory. This is significant. Remember, bear market territory, for our viewers to understand, signifies a period of prolonged and significant decline in stock prices. So significant losses there being faced in just 2 trading sessions on Wall Street. Uncertainty mounting. And remember, if there's one thing that markets don't like, it is uncertainty. And the tariff stance and this potential trade war now is giving markets and investors just that. It is making investors jittery as to what happens next as far as tariffs are concerned. Remember, retaliatory measures are taking place, and this is a concern. We, of course, have earlier heard the IMF also say that, look, they're assessing the macroeconomic implications and how tariffs are representing a significant risk to global outlook at a time of sluggish growth. The IMF also saying it is very important to avoid steps that could further harm the world economy, and how the IMF is appealing to the US and its trading partners to resolve trading tensions and, of course, to reduce uncertainty. We have been speaking to analysts, and of course, firstly, some analysts believe this is the worst of the worst case scenario. Others, of course, believe that, look, if the plan was to shock and get negotiations down on the table, then right now, of course, the focus is on negotiations. The focus is on, okay, what can world leaders do to look at this and, of course, look at fresh and new strategies. As far as India is concerned, also a lens on fresh opportunities that lie ahead and how export market diversification should be in focus as per economists. So really, each and every nation will need to look at this differently.
And China has retaliated against the US with counter tariffs on American goods. The tariffs ranging from 10 to 15% target the US products such as coal, liquefied natural gas, crude oil, farm equipment, and certain autos. This move comes in response to the US imposing a tariff on Chinese imports, which took effect on the 4th of February. The US president, he has reacted, saying that China has panicked, which is the one thing they could not afford to do. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's terrifying the Wall Street, in fact, wiping out over $3 trillion in value on Thursday, the sharpest fall since the early days of COVID. The US dollar also took a beating, the gold hitting all-time highs this week as the investors look for a safe place to park their money. Here's a report from Washington, D.C.
Gold prices have rallied nearly 20% since the start of the year. Geopolitical tensions like the war in Ukraine or Gaza for that matter, a big reason why prices have increased, but a big one, Trump's tariffs, that's stoking fears of a recession.
A possible recession in the US, the world's largest economy, means more people flocking to gold, a safe haven asset.
As far as demand goes, how much would you say demand has increased?
I would say at least 10 to 20% increase just in the last 3 months. We're getting a lot of first-time gold buyers, a lot of new customers. Obviously, we're breaking records with where the gold price is, and so people are becoming aware of that.
What are people saying to you when they come in?
There's a lot of uneasiness in this world, a lot more questions than answers, and I think when that happens, people are looking to diversify. If it's jewelry that you can wear that stores wealth, if it's gold bars, it's something that you can physically hold and you can trust what you can see. I think gold is very easy to purchase. You understand the value of it, the weight of it, and it's also very easy to sell.
Because of the tariffs, other things going on in the US, I would say it's a really good time to buy gold.
So the challenge is I have money, I don't know where to invest it right now. Everything seems pretty risky. So I think gold is more of a secure investment. I invested in stock and Bitcoin and I got beaten up pretty bad.
So you're going back to gold?
Yes.
Trump's tariffs have spared gold. The spot price of gold sitting today at around $3,100 roughly. But analysts at ANZ, for example, predicting that price could go up to $3,200 in the next 6 months. Some at the Bank of America saying the price could touch $3,500 in the next 2 years. We've seen the tariffs announced now. Are you anticipating more people coming to your store and demand increasing further?
I think as long as things remain as they are, it's volatile. I don't see the demand going down.
Gold, like any other investment, is not risk-free. Analysts say that yes, indeed, it is a safe haven, but prices can be volatile. What goes up will come down. In Rockville, Maryland, Alistair D'Souza, NDTV.